I recently polled day gamers on my YouTube channel, X, and group test I'm running about their views on marriage and received 93 responses. 27% thought it's a terrible idea, 66% thought it's a great idea for guys who are starting a family, and 7% thought it's a great idea for everyone. I can imagine that the 27% who think that it's a terrible idea believe that marriage is for suckers. They probably think it's a terrible idea built for women and no one should do it. And I disagree with them, and actually it's been very recent that I changed my views on this question. So in this episode we will look at 5 popular reasons not to get married and why I still think that most men should eventually get married. But I know that some of you will have some opinions of your own on this topic, so we'll do a follow-up episode where I respond to arguments pro and against marriage submitted by you viewers. So if you have anything to add, then feel free to comment on YouTube or on X. But if you are in the beginning stages of day game and you don't have many women around you yet, but you're going out, you're getting some numbers, but you want to improve your texting so more of these numbers would convert to dates, then check out my free texting guide. And if you're already going on some dates and want to learn how to escalate during dates, how to learn from it being friendly to more to a man-to-woman conversation, how to start touching her, move towards the kiss, and how to get her back to your place, so check out my free dating guide as well. Both are available on daygamecourses.com. But if instead of going out for at least 6 to 12 months until you understand whether you're even able to learn day game on your own, you want me to help you and teach you everything you need to know to start getting dates with beautiful girls you meet on the streets, consider getting some day game coaching. You'll find all information about it, how it usually works, the approximate pricing, etc. by clicking the link in description. And now let's get down to the topic, and we'll start by looking at 5 reasons guys will tell you not to get married. First, you will lose half of your assets. Yes, in many cases this is true. In most places in the world, if you get a divorce, your spouse is entitled to half of the assets you've accumulated after getting married, and in some parts of the world, even half of the stuff you owned before you got married. But honestly, I think you're not very smart if this has happened to you. The divorce lawyer James Saxton wrote the book, If You're in My Office, It's Already Too Late. I think it was him who said that getting married is one of the most important financial decisions a person will make in their life, and they're making this decision without doing any research. If you were getting a brain surgery, you would find out about all the risks and how to mitigate them. Well, do the same when you're thinking about getting married. Talk to a lawyer, understand the laws about marriage in your country, and find out what happens if you get divorced and what, for example, happens if the reason for the divorce was that maybe you cheated. What if you get a huge inheritance? Do you also have to split it with a spouse? Or is it like in Latvia where it stays all with you? Learn how prenups work in a country where you'll be getting married. What if you both are from different countries? Are there any laws in the country of where your spouse is from that apply to your marriage even though you're not going to be living in that country? What if you two move to live in a different country? Does that country have any rules that again change something about how this works? And protect your assets. This might mean getting a prenup, or if you're a really high net worth individual, maybe it might mean doing something a bit more complicated like setting up trusts, which make it pretty much impossible to confiscate your assets. Do your homework and your assets will be safe. Of course, if the children after the divorce stay with your ex, then you'll have to pay all child support, but I think we can all agree that if you're not doing that, you're a bit of a piece of shit. But there are ways this can be exploited as well, so make sure you really protect yourself from all sides. Talk to a lawyer. Second argument against getting married, it's really expensive. Weddings cost shit ton of money. There's a whole industry built around the idea of happily forever after. And don't get me started on a scam of the diamond engagement rings. That idea is just as commercialized as Christmas, Black Friday, or St. Valentine's Day. Dude, I'm with you on this one 100%, but you don't necessarily have to throw a huge wedding, you can do a simple, small one. And if she insists on having a huge wedding, I don't think you should be the one paying for it, because you're not the one who wants a gigantic wedding with hundreds of guests. And if she doesn't marry you because of that, well, you, my friend, just dodged a bullet. So far, we've completely dismantled the first 2 arguments against getting married. Now let's look at the third one. It's only for women. Men don't get anything from getting married. Most women dream about their wedding day since they were little girls, but my argument against the idea that marriage is just for women is very simple. So what? What's the problem with that? If you're starting a family, we'll have children with them and hopefully we'll be together for a very long time. Why not give them their childhood dream? Let her have it. Let her fulfill her dream. What's wrong with that? One thing I will say though is I don't think men should cover all the wedding expenses. You both are getting married and I think you both should give something up to get married. You should both work to save up money and cover the wedding expenses. Just as with everything else in a dating, both sides should be investing. Argument against marriage number 4. Marriage is pretty much forced upon us by the government. So if you want to visit your spouse while she's in a hospital, if she's in really bad state, the law in many countries says that only direct family members can visit her. Or if you want to travel with your children without your spouse, it might be more complicated if you're not married. Yeah, dude, this is really dumb, and again, I'm 100% with you on this. But there are some ways around it. So some countries have cohabitation laws where you register as a couple even though you're not getting married, so that's a possibility. I think in many places this was invented for homosexual couples. So do your research, maybe there are some other options if you're not getting married, but this is important for you. My view is that, well, whatever, it is what it is a stupid rule, but there's nothing you can do about it. It's not really gonna go anywhere and disappear. Reason number 5, it's an old social construct. This personally is a big one for me because I simply don't understand why the hell should we get married these days? The odds of marriage being till death do us part aren't what they used to be before when the average lifespan was, I don't know what, 30, 40 years? So things are different now. So why should we do some stupid paperwork? There is no logical reason behind it. And yet, despite of all of these reasons, I think that many men, actually most, should get married. And here's why. Who should get married and why? I think people who are having kids should get married for an unsuspected reason. I've heard this opinion from multiple people and this really makes sense. Having children comes with a whole set of different challenges, especially the first few years. For example, sleepless nights. People who don't sleep much become pretty grumpy, and it might be hard to agree on things when you're too tired to have a civilized discussion. And this is just one example. There's postpartum depression and a bunch of other shit that can happen. So how does being married help? Being married makes it harder to break up. You can't simply stand up and walk out the door. You're forced to stay together for at least as long as it takes to go through the divorce procedures. Which means it's less likely you'll break up when things get hard. I don't know shit about relationships. I'm pretty good at meeting women and starting a relationship, but historically I have a pretty bad track record at keeping them going for longer than a few years. That's how I discovered day game, which led to all delays, threesomes, and other adventures, but this also fueled my relationship research. And while researching the topic, I've realized 2 things. First, it's really important to start a relationship with the right person, not with just someone you start seeing. And second, things will get really hard sooner or later, and you'll have to work through them. Becoming really good at day game, especially if you learn to do it in an ethical way and learn to build deep, genuine connection with women, will help you connect with women who previously were way out of your league. So the question about finding the right person is pretty much solved. But things will get hard and at least one of you will want to walk away. This is what all sources I've looked at say. And the best advice I've heard about what to do when this happens is make it hard to get a divorce. Live together, get married, have kids. Make it hard to walk away. Of course, if your marriage is a complete shit show for years and years, I don't think it's worth it staying together just for the kids. But if you're having huge arguments in the first few years after having kids, maybe this is exactly what you need to entice you to stay together for just a little bit longer until you solve this shit. I think this is a really important argument for marriage, and this is why I believe people who are thinking about having children should get married. And it doesn't change the fact that it's an old social construct forced upon us by government, and that it's just as commercialized as the idea of having a huge fancy car to get girls. But if it makes more likely that you will get through tough times and come out the other end stronger, it's worth it. Whether you agree or disagree, I'm interested in hearing your opinions so we can talk about them on the next podcast episode. So leave your opinions below in the comments section on YouTube or on X. If you are in a stage in your dating life where you don't have many women around you yet and you want to spend a week with me during which I'll be teaching you to approach women in all everyday situations, get their numbers, set up dates with them, then consider getting some day game coaching. You'll find all the information about how it usually works, the approximate pricing, etc. by clicking the link in description. If you prefer to learn in your own pace remotely and want me to help you through coaching calls, accountability, and answering any day game questions you have, then consider joining my online coaching program. Again, you'll find all the details by clicking the link in description. Whether you think that the best idea for you is in-person coaching or my online coaching program, in both cases, in the description pages, you'll be able to schedule a call with me where we'll be able to talk all the details. That's it. See you in the next podcast episode. Ciao, guys.